Alright, legends, welcome along to a brand new episode of Hellmouth Hotline. I'm your host, Rodney Stewart. We're getting into Buffy once again in this episode. We're continuing on with season 3. We're up to episode 8 now, called Lover's Walk. This is a fantastic episode that just turns every relationship in the series on its head, and something you've been waiting for from the beginning of this season. Xander and Willow, of course, they're having their little meetings behind the backs of Oz and Cordelia. That all comes out in this episode. Buffy tells Angel that, they're never going to be what they were, and at the end of the episode, it's like Angel's like devastated, and is there any way we can see each other? And she says, yes, there is. Tell me that you don't love me. And of course he can't. But yes, that is essentially what happens in this episode as far as the personal relationships goes. No sign of faith in this episode, and Giles is off for a retreat in the forest in this episode. But we do get Spike back in this episode, and welcome return for that man. Now, interestingly enough, I didn't know this. I may have covered it in an earlier podcast, but it was only recently, in recent years, that I actually found this out. Spike originally, when he was brought into Buffy, wasn't supposed to be a major recurrent character. Now, of course, the fan base dictated that he should come back, and come back in a big way, which he did, but there was a stage where Joss Whedon actually pulled him to the side, and he's like, you're going to die in this series, you're not going to be coming back. I believe that was in season 2, so probably this episode coming back was like a tester to see how the crowd took to Spike again. But the man's a flipping legend, great character. The beginning of this episode, everybody's getting their SAT scores, and everybody's thinking, they're getting the results they should be getting. Cordelia got a high score. Of course, Willow got an unbelievably high score. Xander gets an unbelievably low score. And Buffy is looking all devastated and they think she's going to get a low score here, but she actually scored really, really high on it. So she now has the possibility of actually getting out of high school, going to university, and making something out of herself. But her being the Slayer, never really let herself believe up to this point that she actually had a future, that far on. She kind of lives day by day on what she does. Spike returns, of course, and he returns in the way that he did the first time round, with the car going through the Sunnydale sign. Gets out of the car drunk at school. The next day, Giles prepares to leave for a Watcher's retreat, and he wants Buffy to go out and State College if she wants. She wasn't expecting this. She was saying her mother's super excited about her getting to college, university, whatever you want to call it, and Giles agrees with her. You should really start looking towards your future, and with faith here, you might actually have the possibility of moving on, maybe even if only for a little while. So it's kind of thrown her completely, and the reactions that she's having is kind of like, just blowing her mind, essentially. She was waiting for Giles to go through the whole, you're the Slayer, your calling is to protect humanity from the vampires and werewolves and all this sort of stuff, and he's like, no, you should go and try it. He warns Buffy, before leaving, about seeing Angel, and she promises that nothing will happen between them. They're only friends. Of course, we get into the Xander and Willow thing. So Xander tells Willow that he wishes that they could just get rid of their mutual attraction. Willow then goes to the local magic shop looking for ingredients for an anti-love spell. Spike, who has been back, some real good comedy moments with Spike. Like, the first thing he does is go back to the mansion where Angel's at, and he's standing outside. Angel doesn't know he's there, and he's giving a lip, on his own. Like, I'll show you, I'll kill you and all this malarkey. Then he trips, falls, passes out because he's drunk, and wakes up in the morning with the sunlight coming in, and his hand catches fire and all that sort of stuff. So there's a lot of slapstick comedy with Spike in this episode. Class. But he does turn up at the magic shop while Willow's there getting the ingredients for this anti-love spell. He's hiding in the back of the shop, and he decides a spell to make Drusilla love him again would be a good idea. That's why he's returned to Sunnydale. Drusilla has given him the cold shoulder and left him, and he's came back devastated and heartbroken. Now, for the vampire characters that are meant to be just the human body with a demon and control them, Spike has an insane amount of human emotion in this episode. It's kind of, you can see why they're doing it, they're writing a story and whatnot. They need the characters to be doing this, that and the other, but it kind of turns the back on what a vampire is at the same time. But that's probably just the, why Spike became what he eventually became later on in Buffy, and then of course he turns up in the spin-off Angel as well. So there is perhaps, it's really weird whenever you're looking at it in hindsight now, especially whenever you know the destination of all the characters throughout the two series with Buffy and Angel. And we do know what happens, how they get there, but you start looking at an episode like this and seeing what happens to Spike and how he eventually gets his soul back. And there seems to be a lot of soul in the man, even at this point, as an evil vampire. It is just a random thought I'm having while talking nonsense here. So he kills the shopkeeper, and back at the high school, Willow works in the anti-love spell. While arguing with Xander, he works out what she's doing, and he's like, I have got no luck with these things. Like, my history and whatnot. Like, he tried a love spell once, and it ended up every woman in the school was chasing him down. Not just every woman in the school. Essentially, it could have been every woman on the whole planet was chasing Xander at one point, except the one person that he was trying to get the spell to work on. So he's not up for this. Spike turns up, knocks him out, and takes him and Willow both back to the factory to help with a love spell. When Willow tells Spike that she does not have enough ingredients, he goes to collect what she needs. And at the library, Buffy's working out when her mum calls to discuss her college plans, but Buffy hears Spike's voice in the background and immediately runs home. So by the time she gets there, Spike is sitting down to have a nice cup of tea with Buffy's mother, Joyce, and of course Angel turns up, and at this point Joyce doesn't know that Angel has returned either, so Spike still has the invite into Buffy's house from season 2, whenever they had teamed up to fight the evil Angel, and of course the spell was put in place to reject Angel's invitation. So in this episode he can't get into the house, the back door is open, and he runs up at the magical barriers there keeping him out, and Buffy mother Joyce gets up and she's giving off out the door to Angel, and he's like, invite me in, Joyce, invite me in, and Spike is doing all this mad stuff behind her back and her not knowing. It's like, I'm taunting Angel and the stupidest childish ways, like, you're a very, very bad man. Like, there's a lot of stuff here from Spike and his own that made me laugh so hard in this episode. It's great. He attempts to attack Spike, and he can't get through, and Spike's like, you in what army, essentially, and Buffy turns up, I'm the army. So she fights Spike down, invites Angel in, and the two of them double team him, essentially, and Spike tells them he's got their friends, and the three of them leave to go get the supplies that Willow needs. Now, there's a couple of insults that Spike throws towards Angel, one in particular that I creased up at, and he does use that same insult in an episode of Angel, an early episode of Angel's series. Could have been season 1, perhaps. But these days, that's not the sort of insult that the PC crowd would really take to. As just, it was a different time. It was hilarious. Oz and Cordelia are driving to find Giles. Buffy sent them off, go get Giles. But Oz's werewolf enhanced sense of smell catches Willow's scent and can tell that she is afraid at this point. So they, now with his werewolf nose, are tracking down the scent of Willow. While they're doing that, Willow and Xander, in the factory basement, believing themselves about to die, lie down, pretty much start kissing and whatnot. It could lead to something more, we don't know. Just then, Oz and Cordelia arrive in the same room to rescue them, catch them in mid-kiss. Cordelia is horrified and she runs up the stairs to get out, but the stairs collapse and she's impaled by a piece of metal right through her midsection. And as they leave, back at the store, the magic store, while Buffy, Angel and Spike are leaving with supplies, they're attacked by a welcome committee of vampires sent by the mayor. He pops up briefly in this episode, and I don't know what it is about that character. Like, I know he's the big bad for this season, and he's not supposed to be the sort of person you can really like or take to, but I think for me, I kind of fell out of watching Buffy regular whenever it was first aired, and I kind of fell out in this season. I said it before, and I'll say it again. This is a season where I just oh gosh, after season 2, this is what they're doing. There's a lot of high points in it, but there's not as many as season 2. And I think the character of the mayor kind of turned me clean off the series, and even at this point, I'm just can't take to the man at all. Don't like him. Anyway, these vampires are sent to take care of Spike. There's a huge fight between all these vampires, Buffy, Angel and Spike. And one of the vampires during the fight says to Spike, "Oh, I heard you went soft. Soft like baby food and all this here sort of stuff." And this turns Spike, and he gets angry, starts fighting really hard, takes out him and a few of the other guys, and he's exhilarated by the thrill of everything that's happened, and he realises that they, screw the spell. He's like, your friends are at the factory, go get them. And up to this point, Buffy and Angel is trying to help him do this magic spell to get Drusilla back and get him the hell out of Sunnydale. But after the fight, he's just like, I've been looking at this all wrong. What I need to do is do what I should have done at the start. Go and find Drusilla, wherever she's at, tie her up and torture her until she likes me again. And he leaves. That's the last he says. But it's him that gives Buffy the nudge she needs where Angel's concerned. They're constantly getting through the whole thing in this episode about we're only friends, and we're never nothing anything more than that. But Spike is in his heartbroken state. Just maybe 5-10 minutes before the end of the episode, he just looks at the two of them and he's like, "Are you seriously trying to stand here and tell me that you two are going to be friends? That's never going to happen. You're never going to be friends. You're going to be lovers. You're going to be in love until it kills you, essentially. You're going to hate each other, love each other to the point of hating each other, and it's going to destroy the two of you at the end of it." So it's her that puts everything in, or it's him that puts everything into perspective for Buffy, and that's where she gives Angel this choice at the end of the episode. Yes, you can see me if you can say that you don't love me anymore, which you can't. Anyway, back at the factory, Cordelia is in the basement and peeled. Xander gets down to help her. Willow's looking through the hole in the roof, and Oz is off to get some help. And she looks at Xander and says, "I can't see you." And then her eyes close and her head pops to the side. And then we cut to a scene of a funeral. And of course you're led to believe that Cordelia died. But she didn't. It's just a random funeral that's happening as Buffy and Willow are walking past the graveyard, and they're having a discussion about what's happened since the events of the night before. And it's like Willow and Oz are no longer speaking. And, Cordelia and Xander haven't seen each other face to face yet. She's lost a lot of blood. She went through whatever surgery she needed. None of her vital organs were harmed, but she's not allowed visitors yet, essentially. So we do get the quick scene between Xander and Cordelia in the hospital where he brings her flowers, and she just looks at him and tells him to stay away from her, and he leaves. And then of course she turns away from the doorway and she's devastated. She's heartbroken. Like, she tries to be the big mean girl character, but at the end of the day there's a very, very sensitive heart on there, and there was a lot more feelings for Xander than she was actually letting out. And I don't think she even realised herself up until this point. So she is devastated. Willow and Xander are in pieces because they have destroyed the two people that they apparently loved. Now, I'm just going to be brutally honest right here. I've been through, right now, I am happy and content, divorced, but I have been through that similar sort of situation. And, for me, there was a certain amount of satisfaction. Now, this has been very, very selfish on my part, but just thinking back and everything that I went through back in the day, whenever this all started happening between Willow and Xander, I was just like, I hope these two get caught out in a major way, and I hope it hurts bad. And it did, really did in this episode for the two of them. And I've always been in the mindset of, if you're in a relationship and you're not happy in there, end the relationship and go and find a new relationship. You see all this messing about behind people's backs, it's flipping shit. It's crap. I don't understand how people can do it. And even up until, not that long ago, not even a romantic relationship I'm talking about here. I'm talking about a simple, basic friendship, 20-year-old friendship. Somebody screwed up, did something that they shouldn't have done, and they did when it was brought to their attention that I knew about it. They did, in all fairness, hold their hands up and admit to everything and apologised. I accepted the apology, but at the same time I was kind of thinking to myself, well, not kind of, like really, at the same time I'm thinking, this friend of mine screwed up, did something he knew was going to hurt me in a big bad way, decided not to tell me and just continue on as if nothing happened. And that's the thing that I'm having real difficulty with, is the mentality of people that can hurt their friends or hurt their lovers and whatnot, and just continue on the friendship or relationship with this person that they've done the dirty on, whether it be a romantic relationship or a friendship, just are able to continue on as if nothing happened and treat the person like just at that level of disrespect. I don't get it. So that was the big thing for me in this episode, was seeing this all happen. I'm just kind of like, that's what you flipping get for screwing about with shit that you shouldn't be screwing about with. It is what it is. At the end of the episode, we essentially get All the characters, you just go through the list of the main teenagers in the episode. Well, Angel's there as well, but you can't class him as a teenager. He's 200 plus years old, but he's sitting on his own, heartbroken. Buffy's sitting on her own, heartbroken. Cordelia, Xander, Oz, Willow, all of them, they're all sitting on their own in different places. And the friendships are completely fractured at the end of the episode after everything that's happened. As far as the romantic side of things goes, it's a fantastic episode. We get the closing out shot of the only person that's happy at the end of the episode, and that is Spike. He's in the car with the blacked out windows again. He's leaving Sunnydale to go and hunt down Drusilla to tie her up and torture her till she likes him again. And he's singing "I Did It My Way" as he's leaving. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. James Marsters as Spike, absolute genius casting right there. I can't see anybody else playing that character quite as well as he played him. Absolute legend. So, yes, that's going to do it for Lover's Walk, episode 8 of season 3 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I'm going to be trying to get this podcast back into some sort of regular going here. Like I literally have bitten off more than I can chew right now with the stuff that I'm trying to create. But I'm really, really trying to press forward with this here because it's something that I really want to, I don't want to say do for a living. That would be nice. But, you need to live in the real world as well. But, we'll see how it goes. But I've got a lot of stuff that I want to talk about. And, if I was putting it all onto the one YouTube channel, it'd be overkill. There'd be far too much stuff on there. That's why all these shows are broken up now, with this one here for the horror stuff, Skin Me Up Body for the science fiction stuff, and then just the review channel on YouTube for just about everything else. But huge amount of material I want to get myself through. Like, I'm going episode per episode here, and there is a mess load of episodes for Buffy. How many? In fact, let me just check that. It is, I've never actually looked to see how many episodes there actually is of this show. Like, there's a mountain of them, I'm pretty sure. 145 episodes. So I'm going to be doing one of them a week, plus a horror movie, whatever. So it's going to be horror goodness all around. So guys, I hope you did enjoy this episode. If you did, please give it a little rating review, share it along to anybody that you think would be interested in listening to it, and definitely follow the show. And if you want to get in contact with me to tell me to take a long walk off a short pier, I know a lot of people that actually do, and the way you can do that is through the email Hellmouth Hotline @gmail.com. That's going to do it, guys. Thank you so much for listening. I will talk to you in the next episode. This has been a production of Coins Age Media. Thank you so much for listening.